pull that towards me, and I'm gonna see the oil get a little gray. And I think this will make the spurtle we're gonna work on today. The ones right here are made of young birch sapling, turned into a dome-shaped top. This time on Dougie Time, we're gonna make some spurtles, and I've talked to you about those before, but this time I'm gonna show you how to whittle one. Now I'm gonna take a little time to tune up my knife, and I'm also gonna show you some different types of spurtles that we can choose to make. On the left is a spurtle that is turned with a lathe, and that's a traditional type spurtle. The ones right here are made of young birch sapling, and those I made up in the Boundary Waters, and those were made right after I cut them down, so we call that greenwood. And this little smaller one is a baby spurtle, and those are very handy. So the one I'm gonna make and show you how to make today will be similar. Maybe I think I'm gonna do the handle style like the baby one, but I'm gonna do this cylindrical type spurtle today, such as with that birch one up there, which looks really cool. And that's what that is. Here is a selection of sticks that I have that I'm gonna choose my blank from, out of which to make the spurtle that I'm gonna do today. And what I think I'm gonna do is take this long piece and maybe make a set of 3. So a bigger one that's kind of flat, like one of them that I showed you earlier, another one that's more traditional, and then another for the small. So I would recommend that you collect a bunch of sticks and different sizes, and then you can choose which type you're going to use. But these are all cured, so I'm not using greenwood, as whenever I whittle with greenwood, it's a little easier to cut through, but it's more prone to split. So I'm going to use these cured sticks for my project today. Alright, so I'm just going to touch up my knife here. Not so much because it needs it, because I'm going to show you how I do it. And that is, whoa, I put a few drops of oil on this Arkansas stone, sharpening stone here. And I've actually set it up on my sharpening or polishing strop, which I'll tell you about in a minute, in order to kind of elevate it so I can get some clearance as I pull this across. Now I'm going to take my knife blade, it's pretty sharp, but I'm just going to touch it up a few strokes, and I'm just going to pull that towards me like this. Yeah, there, now you can see it pretty good. I'm going to pull that towards me, and I'm going to see the oil get a little gray particle in it. And all I'm doing is I'm just holding this at this angle. This is a very smooth, pretty fine Arkansas stone. And then I'm just going to go the other way and do my best to hold it at the same angle as I had before. That's pretty good. I do about maybe 10 or 12 strokes on each side. I'll set that over there, and then my strop here is a block of wood with a piece of leather glued to it. I'm going to leave that same oil right on there, and there's some honing compound which has a super fine abrasive in it, so it's kind of like a paste. And now I don't draw it kind of into the cutting edge. I go away, and all it's going to do is polish that edge and remove any of those burrs that are left there. They're very small. I'll cover more of this when I do knife care, and I'll even show you the best I can microscopically what that looks like when you're sharpening a knife. However, this is just tuning this one up for the little spurtle job. Alright, so I like this stick right here, and so I'm going to cut it from here to here, thinking that'll make a good place for a spurtle. And then I'm going to go down and choose different places to have that. So I'm just using this folding saw, and I'm going to cut this through. And I don't like when it rips that bark like that, so next time I'm going to turn that so it makes a clean cut for both sides. And since knots are really hard to cut through, I'm going to cut this between the knots. In fact, that knot, I said I was going to cut that the other way, and I didn't. Alright, I got one piece cut off, but as what happens sometimes, this piece tore back when I got cut through the piece. So what I'm going to do is cut the other side. I'll show you how to do that. That's a little trick to prevent what they call in the woodworking business tear out. So I'm going to cut this knot off as I would, and just before I get through, I'm going to use my pocket knife, make a cut right where that saw blade's going to come through, and then I'll finish it off, and it won't rip my bark up because I like to keep the bark from stripping all the way down. So now this last piece, I'm going to come right down to this knuckle right here, and I think this will make the spurtle we're going to work on today. Whoop, I almost forgot to cut the other side right where the saw blade's going to come through. Just make a little cut there, and then I'll finish that cut. And I didn't cut it well enough, so it still tore a little bit, but that's part where the that part's going to come off for the spurtle, so we're okay with that. Alright, so here is the top end, what will be the top end of our spurtle. And so what I'm going to do to round over this edge is I'm just going to go down about 1/2 inch, and I'm going to make one paring cut. So when I pull it in like this, I got the knife in here like this is how I hold it, and I do this when I'm going to do a paring cut. I just pull that in, and I'm going to make kind of a W shape, and I don't want to go in too deep, but I'm going to go ahead and cut this like this, and then I'm going to keep going. Alright, now that I've gotten all the way around, and you can see that there's these little edges there. Now, and here's another way to do it. This is called a thumb push. I call it that anyway. And I'm gonna go to each peak of those little W's that I made, and go to the top of that peak and just push forward again, so I go all the way around again. Then I'm gonna do that same thing, go all the way around like that, and I'm just turning the piece inside my non-cutting hand, turning that piece around, and every time I make a little corner or edge, I'm I'm just gonna cut that off, and as I move that around more times, that will turn into a dome-shaped top. And actually, this is the exact same method I use to do the tops of you know, other handled tools where I want a smoothed over, rounded over top, or even a hiking stick. It'll just be obviously quite a bit bigger than this. So there's the rounded over edge or end on the handle side. So now I'm going to determine how long my spurtle is going to be. Ooh, it's quite a bit. Well, it's only about a couple inches longer than this spurtle. So this is going to be in between that. But I like the design of this one where all that bark is left on. So I just make two little strips, and then I remove this bark and shape the end of my spurtle. And I don't know why I always make it just a tiny bit thicker on one end, because you don't need to, the real ones. So right here I'm just going to cut off any little knots that are on there, and you really want to have a good sharp blade to go after these knots, but if you do, no problem. Alright, so before I round over the end in such a way, I'm going to decide, well, I'll have my handle be, and there's another knot, so I'll just go right through that knot, and then I'll just shave down the whole length of this stick, and that is going to be the shaft of this spurtle. So this is the part everybody likes, because you just get to strip away that bark. But I always tell people, know what you want to make before you grab a stick and just start shaving it off, because I like making the design using the bark. Alright, so we've got that pretty well stripped off. You want to get all of that sapwood, which is that layer right under the bark. Get all that sapwood until you're down to the actual white wood part. And then for the spurtle, you don't want to go too narrow on it, but this is the stir part that stirs through your porridge, your amped up oatmeal or whatnot. And I'm going to bring this in closer to my body so I can get some good leverage on this. If you guys make one of these, the next video I'm going to do, we're going to build a Dakota fire hole, and that's going to be super fun because we'll be making fire underground, actually, that we're then going to cook on. And I thought it would be really cool. I'll show you guys how to make some Uncle Dougie's kicked up hot cereal porridge. All right, and we'll use the spurtle that you just made. So now I'm just going to do the design. Now how I do that is I'm going to make one line. You just press into that bark, make a line, turn the piece into it. Hopefully it'll line up. And then I make a V cut. So I'll go like that, and then I'll go like that, And you can make it like a little wavy. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. Kind of makes like a little pattern. And once you get all the way around it, you can clean that up a little straighter if you want. However, so I just go cut that way, and I just follow my line that I made. Alright, so that makes that little design right there. And so I'll go up a little ways towards the top, kind of come around. It's actually kind of chilly out today, so my hands are a little shaky. I didn't make my my pattern, my line around there this time, so hopefully this will be straight and it'll meet, or I'll have a silly looking spurtle. In which case it'll still work, and there are other branches in the forest to make more spurtles, different size spurtles. My view, you can't have too many spurtles. There. So I went all the way around, made that little spurtle. That's perfectly good. And now, what I can do, here's some feed and wax wood polish and conditioner with beeswax and orange oil. You can put this on your hiking sticks to kind of preserve it. This one isn't food grade. I actually have some crud here that's made for butcher blocks. I think I'm gonna go ahead and put that on here. Put a little bit on a paper towel, or just straight on your hands, and rub that on your new spurtle, handmade. And what that'll do is preserve it and allow it to get a little bit wet as you start cooking with it. But that will condition that bark, and it won't come off as bad and dry up, and it'll age really nice. So you just put a little coating of that, and every once in a while you can put another coat of that. But you can buy both of these types of things at Menards or at woodworking stores. This is called butcher block conditioner, and this is feed and wax wood polish and condition with orange oil in it. So it's got a little orangier tint to it. Nevertheless, there's your spurtle, and if you want to look up next time, we're gonna make a Dakota fire hole, and here's the tool I use for that, which is just this little pick shovel, and it's actually kind of slippery because I still have that oily stuff on on my hands. Anyway, the handle screws into here. These are about 10 bucks. You can order them from Amazon or Walmart.com, but don't get the triangle type because those will buckle on you, and I don't like those at all, and those will hurt you, could cut you, because you're gonna dig into the ground pretty hard with this thing. And so there's that shovel made by Coleman. There's some other companies that put those out. And then this little cat shovel, and that's used for digging up and going to the bathroom in your little area. I've never used that for this, but this is another thing, and I actually use both of these shovels to make a Dakota fire hole. So tune in for the next time, and we'll do a Dakota fire hole, and then after that we'll make some kicked up hot cereal using our spurtle